These are busy times for Carol Semple Thompson. The Sewickley native and World Golf Hall of Famer is spending much of the week leading up to the 2016 U.S. Open as a sort of ambassador. The woman who has participated in more USGA events than any other golfer will spend her time attending ceremonies and dinners, handing out awards, and collecting an honor or two herself, while golf's elite descends on Oakmont.
I love having the USGA in town. There are several events coming up before the Open in a couple of weeks. There's something called the Bob Jones Award, which is the highest USGA award that can be given. It's really given for sportsmanship. It's being given to a very good friend of mine by the name of Judy Bell, who was the first woman president of the USGA. And then there's also a big First Tee event on Wednesday evening, a big fundraiser for First Tee, in which I'm being honored along with a couple of other people like George Bush. I mean, who cares really about the president, the past president?
It's a perfect role for Semple Thompson. Born into a prominent golfing family, Semple Thompson grew up in the sport. Her mother and father were both scratch golfers, and her father served as the president of the USGA in the 1970s. Playing golf was simply expected in the Semple household.
I had the most wonderful childhood. We were a golf family. My parents were both very good players. So we children had no choice but to at least know about golf. And there were 5 of us, and we had to, well, the rule was that you had to learn to play golf well enough to break 90, and then you were allowed to quit. And I think my 4 siblings sort of lost interest, but I got hooked.
After spending a few years to work on her game following graduation from Hollins University in Virginia in 1970, Semple Thompson began to blossom. She won the U.S. Women's Amateur in 1973, and then the British Ladies Amateur and Curtis Cup in 1974. The string of wins was the start of a career that eventually saw her claim 7 USGA championships, 62 amateur titles, and make 12 Curtis Cup appearances. And she did it all without turning pro.
You have to understand that back when I was getting out of college, being an amateur was very cool. I mean, it was okay to be a pro, but it was even cooler for many people to stay as an amateur and play the game for the love of the game. Things have definitely changed. And I think a lot of that is the growth of college golf.
Semple Thompson has no regrets about her path. And if she were arriving on the scene today as a female golfer, she'd turn pro. But she'd do it with caution and an awareness that while tour survival may be more lucrative in 2016 than 1976, there are still risks.
If I were going through college now, I would be specializing in golf a lot earlier. When I was going through college, I was playing all the other sports. I played lacrosse and field hockey and basketball and tennis and rode horses. I did all of that, and then summers were for golf. So, but now everybody seems to be pushed to specialize so early. So these young women are specializing in high school and they're specializing in college. And I'm sure that's what I would be doing if I were 48 years younger, a lot younger. So when I got out of college, it would be normal for me to turn pro, but it wasn't quite that way in 1970. There just wasn't that much money on the tour. It just wasn't as desirable, I think, as it is now.
In 2015, Semple Thompson and 13 other women became the first female golfers admitted to the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews in Scotland. It's the latest honor for a woman who is often considered the female Bobby Jones, a legacy that never ceases to flatter her.
Well, I like the idea of being remembered as one of the great amateurs. And I love being compared to Bobby Jones, for instance. I mean, I've read that people consider me to be a female Bobby Jones in some way. That, to me, is so flattering, because he was the ultimate amateur. And if I could be even half of his stature, it would be fantastic.
Golf has never been about money or trophies for Carol Semple Thompson. She played without pressure or expectation. It was all about the love of the game.